I was wearing a turban in the mall on New York TV on every major news channel, Channel 2, 4, 7, 11, 9, whatever, all in the same evening, wearing a rented turban, which they insisted on in order for me to be viewed on the news. I did a group in Fanwood, New Jersey, the JCs they called it, and they asked me to speak in front of their group. It was a local business political organization, I guess, and I went on a stage with a microphone. I just did them a favor. It was a courtesy, and I was telling them about different things in their life and about what their name meant and the numbers in their birthday and so forth and so on. And I remember this one person, I told him that because he had certain lines in his hand, that at about the age of 49 to 50 years old, he should watch about traveling around water. Well, there was this corner store. It was called the Fanwood Corner Store, which was a luncheonette that sold cigarettes and sandwiches and coffee and breakfast and this kind of thing. And most of the local businessmen would have coffee and read the newspaper in this place together. And every so often, because I had a gas station down the block, which I worked at, every so often we had 5 different gas stations, and I would go over to the Fanwood store to get coffee in the morning when I appeared there. They would be whispering. There's the guy that said you got to watch the water. Unknown to me, he had a boat. I didn't even know that. But they always laughed and carried on. And one day I came in their store and they were quiet. They wouldn't even look at me. And I found out that the guy, 3 months prior to his 50th year, got lost at sea in his yacht or boat. These were wealthy business people, and they looked at me as if I had the cast of death in my eyes, that I shouldn't look at them, that maybe they should die or something. But there's always been a lot of superstition, in regards to people. I remember one time I did Monmouth Mall as a special appearance, and I would always pay all my own expenses, and you really didn't make anything out of it. You'd pay gas, tolls, printing costs, hotels, whatever, out of your own pocket to do these things. And other people, even people who did this, didn't want to be bothered because there was no money in it. You had to really just love it. And I was doing the mall, and this lady came by, and I was telling her about her life, and I gave her a name, and it was the name of her husband. I gave her this other name, and I said, I think you'll be involved with this person. And she went up to the desk and complained, the front desk, and said that I was saying crazy things. And 3 years later, I did another special appearance there, and this lady came to me and sat down and said the name I gave her was now her new husband. So it just goes to show you, I find with relationships, when you put 2 birthdays together, it forms a certain chemistry. As an example, somebody may be the head of the relationship in one relationship, and in another relationship, they're subservient to the other person. And some people together will be very routine and stable, and in another relationship, it'll be very changeable and erratic. And when you put the 2 birthdays together, it forms a third personality. That's why a person's one thing with one person and a totally other thing with somebody else. It changes the whole thing. And with psychic, I always try to actually make predictions about people's lives. A lot of times the other psychics were almost like a a poor man's psychiatrist. It was basically a counseling service, and they would say my mother's no good to me, or my father drinks too much, or whatever, and they would discuss the problems. And this is not what I was. I was somebody that actually told somebody what I saw happening, and a lot of times it didn't make sense to people. And I understand that a lot of people do need the counseling. It's worthwhile. A lot of people live in silent desperation. And when you use these various tools, you cross over. You start with cards or palms or handwriting. And when you're a psychic, you go into the psychic. So you cross from the physical to whatever it is, whether it's handwriting or palmistry or cards, into the psychic. And after a while, when you do it enough, the line disappears between the tool and the psychic field. I remember when I once went to Menlo Park when a psychic fair was going on, and I spent for 2 readings out of my pocket. One lady said, "Are you interested in past life?" I said, "Sure," but at that time I figured she was going to go into my past. But instead she was talking about lives that I've lived in 100 years ago type of thing, and I wasn't that interested, and she said I was an old salt. And the second reading, a guy looks at my hand and he says, "You're very critical." And that was it. So it had cost me $20 to find out I was an old critical salt. A critical salt, an old salt that was critical. The course at Thelma put me into a deep study of numbers. And when all the students sat down and I was teaching the class, Thelma said that she had not extracted anything out of those books, because the books that she handed me, she had been through all of them, and she said she did not extract any information like I came up with. I had also studied all of Cairo's books on numbers, and he talked about Fatic or fate, numbers of fate, and I understood this. And the numbers 1 through 9 dealt with physical changes, and the Kabbalah or double numbers really related more to the esoteric or the occult side of the study. And occult means something which is mysterious, hidden, or behind the scenes. So when people say stay away from the occult, they're afraid of hidden meanings. And is there something that we're not supposed to know? Is that why they're afraid of it? The occult is actually a study of the hidden meanings of life. And the Kabbalah tells the basis for all these aptitudes in life. Well, I find too that I was dealing with the abracadabra, which I met an Egyptologist, and inside the pyramids they found these charts where somebody took their name and they numerized it. They put it to numbers, and it went to this pyramid type of triangle in reverse. And by following these different numbers and patterns, one can tell every major change that somebody's about to go through in their life. And that was one of my prediction methods, was to actually uncover the numbers, and I would do the numbers in the name and the numbers with the birthday, and I would triangulate these, and I would make exact predictions as to what was going to occur in people's lives. And basically, at the time, I would tell them it wouldn't make any sense. But the future and the past and the now really coexist. Everybody has a fate, a destiny. And all I do is, I'm just a reporter.